Good afternoon, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are always delighted to be with you and glad that you join us for the Rabbi's Roundtable. I happen to be sitting with my dear friend and also president of Temple B'nai Israel, but he's not here to talk about the Temple on the Mount or anything like that. Frank Mendich, and Frank, aside from being Temple president, is also a very accomplished pilot. He's been here before. Frank, thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure, Peter.
And let's talk a little bit about Warrior Aviation and the Warrior flight team that you're a part of. It's very cool. This is jets. This is very interesting, and you're going to see some stuff later on. But go ahead, tell us about it, Frank.
Well, Warrior Aviation and the Warrior Flight Team is really a veterans charity. We're a 501c.
Okay.
And what we do is we use air shows to promote our program. And our program is essentially scholarshiping veterans. And it doesn't have to, it probably started out as wounded warriors, but it's really any veteran who has any interest in having an aviation career. So that would mean anything from pilot to turning wrenches, like fixing aircraft, or any other management, anything that has to do with aviation. And what we do is we scholarship them, we help supplement their GI Bill. Most of them use their GI Bill, or maybe they spend it on something else and they want to change careers. So we help scholarship them. So we raise the money doing that.
And how do you raise the money through an air show?
Well, how we raise the money is first of all, we have a sponsor named Alpha Industries, which manufactures really, their main business is manufacturing military uniforms, jackets. It's a lot of jackets from the military.
Flight suits, like the one you're wearing?
Well, actually, this flight suit does come from Alpha Industries.
And I know it's flame-proof as well.
It is. It's got the Nomex, and that's a good thing to be flame-proof.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they've taken a strong interest in helping the veterans, and they wanted to help the veterans through our organization. What makes our organization very unique is the fact that we are all volunteers. We're not like the Wounded Warrior Project or some of the other groups. We're all strictly volunteers. We do this on a volunteer basis.
Tell me how many people fly. Tell me, what's the nucleus of your group?
We have probably about 12 to 15 people who are continuously there. We have a lot of people who help us peripherally when they have the time.
Yeah.
And it's since we're all volunteers, they have to make the time. We do about 10 air shows a year, plus other events. So it can take a lot of volunteer time, but we have some very, very dedicated people involved.
Tell our viewers your background in terms of aviation and background of some of the people that you work with.
Well, most of us all have a military background in flying, and what we've done is over the years, some of them are retired from military, some are not, but our two pilots that fly the air shows, one's Mark Crunchy Burgess, and the other one is Bill Pirate Mills. They're both graduates of the Naval Academy, and they are in their 40s, so they're on the younger end of our group. And they are very, very accomplished pilots.
And they were naval pilots?
They were naval pilots. In fact, Bill was a graduate of Top Gun.
Really?
That's how well schooled he is.
And these guys flew on and off carriers?
They did. They've got probably 400 or 500 carrier traps, but a piece. So
one quick story. Years ago, I knew a pilot, an Israeli Air Force pilot, and we were talking, and he said that the finest pilots in the world and the pilots that the Israeli pilots respect most are naval pilots, and he said, I don't know how they fly on and off of those aircraft carriers. So I've always remembered that.
It's an incredible skill.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah. So the air shows, we do a very unique program at the air shows. First of all, we display all our things we do to promote our charitable work. That's number one at all the air shows. And number two, then we perform an act which is actually very unique. It is actually a dog fight.
Oh, wow.
We do an actual dog fight, which is pretty cool because this is a close, tight-knit dog fight with guys checking sixes and then coming back and doing and performing.
How fast are you flying when you do that?
You're not really flying that really that fast. You're probably somewhere in the 250 to 350 knot range. And the reason is, first of all, we're doing it in a very tight area, so we're not really trying to go that fast, going to keep our turns tight. You know, so. But the planes are capable of going 500 knots.
Wow!
So they can, and they're very, very maneuverable.
And these, what kind of planes are these?
They're Czechoslovakian L-39s.
Oh.
They were the mainstay of the Warsaw Pact training fleet back in the old, I guess you'd say back in the old Iron Curtain days.
And how did you acquire these?
Well, they're available for civilians. They're probably one of the most affordable fighter jets you can buy. Some countries even still use them for combat operations.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
And they have a Russian engine in it. Now back to our charity.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our charity.
Sidetracked.
In fact, what we should do is probably run the film.
That's fine.
You can see some of the air show work.
Watch this clip because it'll show you what Warrior Aviation does in the air and how cool it is. Frank, that's so fascinating and it's so exciting. Tell us a little bit. Then let's talk more about how you guys select recipients and all that.
Yeah, well, if you noticed in that film, we do have some wounded warriors that we have scholarship for an aviation career, and it's remarkable. We have one Marine named Eli Tice that lost his thumb actually, and his leg in an IED explosion in Iraq. He came to us and he wanted to fly really bad. He used his GI Bill for some other training, so he kind of was out of money. So we helped him. And one of the challenges was getting an FAA medical certificate so he could even fly.
Oh wow!
But he did it. He did it with no thumb and a prosthesis on his leg.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And so he trained to be a pilot. Eli right now is a pilot for Virginia Search and Rescue for helicopters, and he is also an A&P mechanic, and we helped him for both parts of that profession.
That must make you feel just really fulfilled. Seriously, I think it's remarkable.
It's our purpose. That's the mission of why we're even in existence.
How much, in general figures, you raise how much per year?
Well, it's hard to figure out exactly how much per year. But since we don't have, since we're all volunteers, we have no payroll expenses.
Right. Oh, sure.
So what we do is we do have some expenses for getting to air shows. Right. The air shows typically give us a fee for running the aircraft because the aircraft they're expensive to run. There's no doubt about it. But we also use the aircraft for experience flights for wounded warriors. And some press, but for wounded warriors, we put them in the back seat and we give them an opportunity to see what it's like to fly in a fighter jet, and going to not only the fun of flying, but also the fun of being in a jet and taking some G's, which is a G, multiple of G forces of gravity.
Well, I know that when you guys were at the Eastern Airport, what, September was it?
Yeah, September.
September. Just standing and getting to be in the cockpit was really, for me, as you know, thrilling for me. So.
Yeah, for those of you at home, we boosted the rabbi up to the cockpit so he can take a look at it.
It was great.
We loved every minute
I
of it.
did. I really did. Tell me about your flyover at Arlington Cemetery.
That was really cool. It was during sequester. What had happened, there were two pilots that were shot down in Laos in 1969. And they just had recovered their bodies in May of 2013.
Wow.
So that was the middle of sequester. So we get one of our guys gets a call from a buddy down at the Pentagon and says, would you be interested in flying the honor flight for their funeral at Arlington Cemetery? Typically, it used to be the Air Force would fly the flight.
Sure.
They had no money to do it.
Because of the sequester.
Because of sequester.
Yeah.
So we said, well, let's see what we could do. And what we did is we not only did we didn't even have to raise the money. We had people giving us fuel, and we put a bunch of planes together. You wouldn't believe how many planes we put together to honor these two warriors who were killed in the service of our country. We put together not only the plane they were shot down with in an A-26, but we had two P-51 Mustangs on each side of the A-26. We had Panchita, which is a B-25 Mitchell bomber, which is the one that bombed Tokyo, the first raid over Tokyo. Right. And Panchita, by the way, is very close to here. It's in Georgetown, Delaware, and the guy who owns it lives in Mandela Springs, which is on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
And then we had 4 L-39s do the missing man formation directly behind it. It was unbelievable.
We saw that in the clip, didn't we?
You saw the missing man formation in the clip from that pass. Now, what was really cool was every news agency threw their camera crews down for that event because it was the first time a civilian flyover. And so we had CNN, all the major news were. So we were really busy managing that event, and it happened. I got to tell you, this happened so fast you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And everybody cooperated. Flying over Arlington Cemetery is the most highly guarded airspace in the United States over our nation's capital.
Oh, sure.
You can't enter without all sorts of
documentation
and permission.
Yeah.
And it came to us through. Plus, we're going to fly directly over the Pentagon with these planes.
Jeez.
So it was an amazing event. It was very well documented. And we were so proud to be able to do that as an organization.
And I'm proud to just hear the story and be with you. If people should want to get in touch with you or want to, I know that's not why we're here, but if somebody wanted to be moved to participate and contribute, how would they do that?
Well, as you know, we'd have a website.
Yeah, there you go.
warrioraviation.org. That's warrioraviation.org or warriorflightteam.org.
Cool.
And everything you need to know about us is on that website, including how you can help.
Cool. Well, this is. I mean, as you know, I could go. You could talk to me about this.
And you like my flight suit,
I like
too.
your flight suit very much, and we could talk about this for the next 6 or 7 hours, but we won't. Frank Mendich, not only Temple president, but pilot extraordinaire. Great to fly with. I've flown with him. And great to watch. We've seen a bit of it in the clip. Frank, thanks for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable. We'll talk more soon.
Thank you, Peter.
We'll be right back.
Programming on Channel 15 is brought to you in part by the Avalon Foundation and Avalon Theater, a leading catalyst for the arts, education, and culture for Talbot County and the Mid-Shore. The Avalon Foundation. Leadership, a beautiful venue, and a variety of programming provide a special quality of life on the Mid-Shore.
And we are back, and welcome back east into the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and we are in the studios of MCTV in the basement of the Avalon Theater, and my guest now is new to the area, and we're very excited to welcome him not only to the Rabbi's Roundtable, but to the area. Ben Simons. Ben is the new director of the Academy Art Museum. And Ben,
Well, it's great to be here,
welcome.
Peter. Thank you so much.
It won't be your last time. I got news for you.
I love it. I think you just need a sign out front to make it the Rabbi's Letterman show.
Yeah,
I think,
well,
yeah, you know.
I'm wanted to, but
And
they
where's
didn't let me.
your coffee mug? I think we need that.
Oh, you know
too,
what? I'll tell Nick. We'll get some next time.
Okay, more props.
The Rabbi's Roundtable. No, welcome and
Thank you.
for taking time. I know you are acclimating to a new position, and time is you're drawn in a million different directions. So thank you for being here.
No, it's my pleasure. One of my roles is to get out into the community and to meet everyone, discover the amazing people here, and learn about their love of the arts, but of so much else that's going on here. Yeah.
So let's start, if you don't mind. Tell us a little about yourself, where you're from,
Sure.
the other places that you were involved with, and
Absolutely.
Family, if you want, and
Sure.
then we'll talk about the Art Academy.
So I actually grew up in Washington, D.C. My wife and I both did, so we're somewhat from the area.
Okay.
Then we went on later in life and went on to graduate school and ended up on Nantucket Island, of all places.
Not a bad place
I
to
never,
be.
I never could have imagined, spending 14 years of my life there.
Yeah.
But we did, and we had a child there, and that was an incredible community with great museums, but also over 200 nonprofits. So we learned the culture of nonprofits, where everyone in the community is coming together, and you're pulling together, oftentimes towards the same goal. So
Very cool.
that's a culture that we were familiar with from Nantucket.
It's not a bad place to be in the summer or the winter.
Right, except for March and April.
Yeah.
Well, April's better, but March is not great.
Right. Well, we are delighted that you're here. Let's talk a little bit about your vision and where you think.
Sure.
What's coming up? What are we going to get to see?
Yeah, well,
who are we going to get to meet?
My experience on Nantucket, we built a new museum there, and so it had been a historical society for over 100 years. Had great traditions, great collections, but we built a new museum in 2005. So we had this beautiful facility, and we had to kind of fill it with soul, so to speak. We had to put on a whole range of programming and lectures, brown bag series. We did a lot of collaborative work with the community. So in that experience, it was a question of taking this new facility and bringing people in and getting them familiar with it. And that was very successful.
Cool.
And then my next position was at the Smithsonian at the Renwick. And there you had a historic and beloved museum, one of America's first museums, which had great collections and has great collections and has great exhibitions. But they renovated that, and we reopened it last year. And there was a question of bringing in new audiences to the Renwick.
I understand that whole dynamic. You know what? If you would like, I could get you on the building committee at Temple. No.
No, thanks. I've got enough on my plate.
Yeah, I know. But no, that's very exciting. And of course, the Renwick is we're close to it. And as a matter of fact, I just took a group to the Sackler.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah.
They have a magnificent exhibit of illuminated Quranic Qurans from the 7th to the 15th century, and if anybody wants to go see something remarkable, I urge folk to go to that as well. But this is a wonderful community. It's so focused on the arts, and it's sophisticated. And they've heard me say this for 8 years already. But this is a great opportunity. We're excited for you.
Well, it's an incredible combination, like we had on Nantucket, of amazing natural beauty and environment here. But you also have a community of people who care so much about the arts, who care about the environment, conservation, about helping each other, and that richness is it's very rare, and we're very lucky here in Easton.
I find it energizing and really exhilarating because you have people who are actually engaged from the bottom up. It's wonderful.
It is, and there are new generations of people moving here, younger professional families with kids. We're finding all kinds of people our age who are moving into the community, and we, at the Academy, we want to interest them in the museum and get them familiar with all of our incredible offerings for kids, for adults, for all ages.
I get the catalog. I know there are all these art classes.
The catalog is an encyclopedia.
It's
it is. Yeah.
It's fabulous.
It is. It's Janet Hendricks produces that. It's an amazing catalog. Yeah.
And from my perspective as the rabbi, with both your predecessors and who I knew, we've always had a warm and very wonderful relationship. We've done things, we've sponsored, co-sponsored. So I hope that will continue.
Absolutely.
No,
yeah,
I
of
know
course,
that,
yeah.
and we are delighted. Tell me about the big thing that you were building out there.
The bird?
Yeah.
The merganser.
Yeah, it's very
well.
wonderful.
It's hard to miss if you drive by the museum or downtown at all, particularly during waterfowl. And this is a sculpture that went in not too long ago of the mighty merganser, and this was a sculpture made out of saplings that had been gathered by volunteers the weekend before, and bamboo as well. And they wanted to create an iconic large bird sculpture on our lawn, and so
they were successful.
they were successful. So the merganser is here, and we're delighted with it. It's going to be up for a little while, and it's something that is just, it's so visible. One thing at the Renwick was that children and families and people of all ages love to be able to walk through and around installation art. That was a kind of a magical secret of the Renwick's first show. You could actually go up near to the object and kind of be under it and be taking selfies in many cases looking at it, and so we hope that the merganser has a little bit of that effect.
I saw the article in the newspaper, and I went by it, and it just made me laugh.
It kind of makes you laugh, yeah.
That's I think that's not an inappropriate laugh, kind of a warm.
It's a feel good laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A great function of art. Anything we need to know about what's coming up? Any previews?
We have on December 10th with the preview party on the 9th and the 8th a collaborative exhibition with the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum.
Cool.
And it's the American Society of Marine Artists, and it's something that we're trying to do more and more collaboration, and they're obviously a big partner in the area. So the show is opening at both locations.
Oh, wonderful.
And so members can come out on those preview nights, and we encourage you to re-up your membership or join as members. But
done it already.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But that will be a very nice collaborative show as well. We have Nanny Tripp's photographs coming in. She's has deep ties to the area. That will be December 3rd, so something else to look out for.
And I thought the event the other night where you honored, among others, Don Saff and James Terrell and the other, I thought
Rusty Powell, Arnold Lehman.
Arnold Lehman. And
we have in this area, we have people who are at the highest levels of their professions and their careers, and it's just amazing. And we're lucky to have people like Don Saff and Rusty Powell affiliated with the museum. I mean, we have this incredible kind of special relationship with the National Gallery because of Rusty and Nancy.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's extremely exciting.
It is. I mean, we're able to be a community-based organization that also has shows at the highest levels.
Total, national and international horizon.
Yes.
It makes it special to live here and be here. Seriously, I'm not being gratuitous.
I feel the same way. I'm so thrilled to be coming to this institution because you can do both of those well. You can serve your community, but also bring in things that are, allow people to kind of go out into a national scene or even an international scene.
And speaking of Don Saff, he was, I don't know if anybody's seen the immediate past taping, but Don came in to talk about his
clocks.
Oh, yeah. And the one that's in London and at the National Observatory, the most accurate mechanical movement clock in the world. That's Don's.
He's an incredible
remarkable
person, and he's thinking a lot. And I think he'll be giving a talk soon about the relationship between time and art. He's going to give a talk about clocks in art, which is a fascinating topic.
And as I told, he knows this, and I told folk when he was here. My father was a retail jeweler, but by training he was a bench guy. That means he did not only jewelry work, but was also a trained watchman.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I grew up with hairsprings and balance wheels and all escape mechanisms, and so that was all that kind of stuff. So we had that in common. But anyway, this is very exciting. We are glad that you are here.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, and I would love to meet absolutely everyone. So please introduce yourself to me, and I'll look out for you, and
we will make that happen as best we can.
We want the community. We want the academy to be a warm and open and welcome place. And
I've
you
never
know,
found it anything else but.
Yeah,
Seriously.
great.
So I'm glad. This will not be your first time or last time.
Okay.
This is your first time. It will not be your last time at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Great.
We wish you great success, Ben.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for taking
Rabbi.
the time.
Terrific.
We will be back. Easton.
This is Jenna Hager, and you're watching MCTV Channel 15.
It's different than any place I've ever been. It's easy to just be in the room with everybody else and enjoying the show together.
I'm very impressed. Just the variety, the quality, the intimacy.
And we are back, and you are sitting at the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman. Of course, this is the studios of MCTV, and I am here. I can't say enough about my friend Tim Wigan. People know you from the Avalon. You are now the director of
I'm actually an official guest on MCTV.
Yes,
Before I was working here, I wasn't really an official.
If it wasn't for you, there would be no Rabbi's Roundtable, and I tell people that with great affection and deep appreciation. And we will talk more about that in a minute. And also the lovely, talented, creative, and very effective new CEO and CFO of the Avalon Foundation, Jessica Bayless. So, Jess, thank you for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Yay! Thank you for having me.
That is a nice introduction.
Yeah, that's
That was really nice.
Do I sound like a big deal?
Well, you are. And in all seriousness, I'm deeply appreciative for what you allow me to do and just how it's impacted not only the temple community but the general community. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the new musical, brand new, The Nutcracker, which Tim is directing and Jess is producing. And let's talk a little bit about what makes it new. I mean, people think about the Nutcracker, they think about the familiar music, but why is this different, and who's to blame?
It's not the ballet, is I guess how I would start.
Right.
It is a new musical out of Chicago. It was written in 2007, and it's been produced and workshopped there annually since then, and has had a limited run in a couple of other places.
In big cities, in cities.
In big cities. But it is a totally new story. It is not the story from the ballet, though it is based on the book by
E.T.A. Hoffman.
So there's kind of some things in it that are reminiscent of the ballet, but it is a modern day musical.
Why did you choose it? Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, it is. As Tchaikovsky, of course, did the ballet.
Right.
It is. What is? There are a couple characters that are the same: Clara and the Uncle Drosselmeyer, and the Nutcracker, of course. The one thing that is the same is it's a it is about a fantasy world. The story has changed, the particular story, but it does sort of have this sort of really interesting fantasy life to it, which definitely comes out on stage. I mean, why do we pick it? I mean,
well, it's always, we have had an annual holiday production now for the last 6 years.
At least.
wow, yeah.
But before the Avalon Foundation, and it has become our largest public-facing fundraiser. So while the Avalon Foundation does a lot of things in the community, the holiday play is really what we use, I kind of say, to keep the lights on. It typically raises between $25,000 and $30,000 for the Avalon Foundation, which really is about the size of our electricity bill in an annual year. So when we think about this as sort of an act of charity around the holidays to really try to bring people in. It's a complete community production. Everybody who works on it, anybody who auditions gets a part. Anybody who wants to participate, we find a place for everybody to come in and just sort of be together at the holidays. It really is starring your friends and neighbors. So it's difficult to figure out a script that will do all of that. We, for a lot of reasons, don't try not to repeat year to year. So in the last several years,
repeat all the time. It used to be Christmas Carol pretty much every year.
And then some people don't love the Christmas Carol as much as other people love the Christmas Carol, and it
Although
felt
I
like
think we've all grown to love Christmas Carol.
I
I'm pretty sure about that.
well, I
Yes,
agree.
it is how it started. I mean, not everybody got it, and so yeah,
So we've been rotating through a lot of other productions. We did It's a Wonderful Life. We did Miracle on 34th Street. Last year we did the Christmas Story. And we were kind of ready to do Christmas Carol again. And Kate Levy, who is a dear friend of the Avalon, runs our summer camp programs, said, I've heard of this play. And when I heard of it, I just knew it is what the Avalon should do.
Oh, excellent.
And we kind of, I think...
She's been saying it for a couple of years. She said it for a couple of years. We're like, we're not ready for that yet. We've still got Christmas Story. We've got this, and then this one came in.
And then she came in and she said, no, I really have the script. I really want you to read it.
Well, then we told her to get it. We said, get the script. So we can't do anything. We can't get the script. She kept telling us about it. We were like, get it. And she got it. Jess went on vacation to Vermont. I read it over the course of that time when she was in Vermont, and I looked at the script. I was like, Jess came back. We kind of had decided that we were doing Christmas Carol. We sent a message out to our cast saying we were doing Christmas Carol. When she came back from it, I read it. I was like, it's pretty good. And she read it.
And I said,
you need to read it. And she was like, 2 days later, she read it, and she was like,
I came back in and I said, ooh, you're right. It is really good.
And then we told Kate, you're right, And so
what was compelling about it that drew you to it? Sort of curiosity.
It means something.
It's a really well-written story. And I was, sort of giving you some of the loose plot before we went on air. And it is about a family that is really trying to deal with grief and loss, and a small family. And I just think that it is particularly hard for a lot of people to deal with loss, and especially in the holiday season.
Of course.
I think that those traditions are they evoke the memories that sometimes can be very difficult. I'm sure you hear about this.
Only every day.
Right. And so it's really about the little girl in the family who is feeling very lost and alone because her family has been so separated by grief, and just her really using her toys and her imagination to battle the rats. And the rats are kind of the darkness that's in her house. And it just feels really poignant. It was really funny. I felt myself laughing out loud.
The way they tackle going after what she's talking about was the poignancy is they use basically a cross of characters that run anywhere between Toy Story and The Wizard of Oz to sort of help tell all this really
this sounds exciting.
So yeah, it can be really, we're very excited about that aspect of it.
From a creative standpoint, after doing 4 years worth of productions that were kind of connected to movies, where I think everybody has a preconceived notion of, okay, well, Ralphie should look like this, and the snowsuit better be like this, or, it's not going to be as good. To really have a complete blank slate to be able to work with. Music that people haven't heard, a real ensemble cast that had a lot of meaty parts to be able to share. It's cool to be able
to do comedy, meaty, and they're doing comedy through it. It's
to be able to cast a play that has a part that I would say the part of a teddy bear. Like a teddy bear could be played by you, or could be played by my 8-year-old son, or it could be played by my sister.
Cool. Right.
And so it gave everybody so much more of a fair shot than, again, some of the other scripts where you're like, okay, I need a white male between the ages of 43 and 54, so it gave us a lot of freedom to be able to offer some people who, have kind of been waiting for a good part to be able to.
We could actually say, what part do you want? And they could pick from 5 versus
terrific.
normally, so that was all part of how
the decision-making process.
By the way, do we know?
It's a mystery.
There's by the end of it, there'll be 50 people involved with the production. We're all kind of equal,
and
Mackenzie and Tori, Craig,
leads.
and Jen Coleman and Dave Marmelstein. They're the 5 main characters.
Nice.
But the other people they're in there just as much. It's kind of even. It's kind of even field.
And it sounds to me like there is. That there's a message in the humor and the comedy, and which is not comedy, but is in humor as a vehicle that can
absolutely
convey poignancy.
Absolutely, and I think that it's kind of certainly both the comedy and the little girl's sort of imagination diffuses some of what would be a very serious play if that were not true. And I think that everybody kind of needs that catharsis after some of the heavier scenes, because again, what gets you through oftentimes is comedy.
Right, sure. And I mean, they fight in these scenes. I mean, there's the characters actually have fights. and they die. You know,
But
and
it's
they
a
come
little
back,
bit more
but
like
it's funny.
like
you know what I mean?
like Monty Python.
Yeah,
like
it's-
you cut my arm off. Or
Right, it's kind of like
something
they're kind of fights like that, yeah. But they do carry, you know, sort of a poignant message, which I think when you get back is like, is get the dark out of your life. You know,
Or at least
let it be
address it.
let it be light.
Well, it's even
you know?
what is that line that like you gotta learn that the dark is the same place only without the lights turned on or
Right.
something like
Yeah,
that.
right,
Just
right,
kind
right.
of really sort of hearing those kinds of messages. And I think again,
Along with Nutcracker jokes through the thing. You know, I mean, it go ahead. I'm sorry.
what is it? I mean, like, what does the comedy do? It also makes it so that it really is a production that feels very safe and fun for all ages. Because it's kind of like sometimes in the Disney films, you know that there is real adult messaging that's underneath, and
course.
whether your 5-year-old
It's
is
kinda like
picking
that.
up on it or not,
Of
like
course.
they're
It's there for
laughing at
you
the
and-
talking fish or whatever.
Of course.
Like
And listen, what is more poignant than holiday? You know, it doesn't matter whose holiday.
Correct.
Holidays exist to not only coalesce community but coalesce family.
Absolutely.
And when there are holes in the family structure, they can become not joyous occasions but really heavy and sad moments. So this sounds like a great production. Tell me when you are offering this, by the way.
We're doing it December on the dates between December 16th and December 23rd.
Yeah, there's 6 productions. There's one dinner theater production too, which is kind of our larger fundraiser evening where you can come and have a dinner.
When is that?
That one is the dinner theater one is the 21st.
Okay.
So it kind of runs the Friday, Saturday, and then a Sunday matinee. We've got a few days off. We come back and have dinner theater. And then there's a show on the 22nd, and we close on the 23rd.
So the
this year.
16th, 17th, and 18th of the shows, and then the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of the shows.
And you can get tickets by reaching out to our box office, Jody at 822-7299, or you can go right online. It's probably the easiest way at avalonfoundation.org
Yep.
to get your tickets and come celebrate the holidays with us. I do, I am so happy to live in such a small, close-knit community and to feel all... I don't know that I've ever felt community like what we have here in Easton before, and to be able to have that small town experience, to be able to walk into our decorated lobby and see people from your mailman to your next door neighbor up on the stage just doing something like this production is a pure act of charity from the people who are working themselves on the stage to the people who are walking through the door, and it's all just trying to support improving the quality of life in Easton, which is the Avalon Foundation mission.
Oh, sure.
So it's like it feeds upon itself, and so if you can't get in the holiday spirit, then come here and we will help you.
Absolutely. And I just said that to Ben Simons, the
at the Academy.
At the Academy Art Museum. I said, this is a wonderful community. I've been saying this to you for 8 years now, and I feel lucky. And when I say that, I mean that. I am blessed to have you as my friend, and you and to be a part of this community, which is so rich and vibrant. And this just speaks to not only the Avalon Foundation's mission, but to
how many hardworking, good people there are here who want to
Absolutely.
come together and make good things
absolutely.
happen.
One more time, the dates and
December
how to get
16th and
tickets.
17th and 18th. December 16th, 17th, and 18th. And then we take a 2-day break and pick back up on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
It's a great thing to come bring your family. You can call our box office at 410-822-7299, or even better, just check out avalonfoundation.org, because we got all kinds of other stuff going on
A lot
too.
of great,
Absolutely.
yeah,
A lot of stuff.
definitely.
Always a pleasure
Thank
to
you,
have
Rob.
you at the round
Did
table.
I do okay?
You did, yeah,
What about me? It's my first time on here.
I'm delighted.
Can I ever come back?
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
Good.
There's a lot of stuff going on, Easton. It's, as we have said, it's a wonderful community, and this adds to the joy and to the importance of what we do as a community. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Come
Thank
see
you.
the show.
I will, without question, and I wish everybody a happy, healthy Thanksgiving, and we will talk more after Turkey Day. See you next time at the Rabbi's Roundtable.